You violated the law. Pay the court a fine or serve your sentence.
I am a huge fan of Bethesda games, and the first one I ever remember playing by them was Oblivion on the Xbox 360, and I absolutely loved it. So when they announced they were doing a remake this year, obviously I had to get it. And I'll be honest, I didn't complete the game. And that's because when I was playing it, I got kind of distracted and realised I wanted to make something from the game, and it had to be an Oblivion Gate. It had to be. I didn't have a clue how I was going to make it, but I just knew I had to do one. So after looking at the reference images from the old game and the new game, I sort of came up with a few ideas. So the first thing I needed to do was make a base. So I've got some like hardboard. It's the stuff that you get that lines the bottom of your drawers. We had some old cupboards we were getting rid of, and I took them apart and found this, and I thought, ooh, that might make some nice bases for dioramas. So I've kept some of that, and I've like scored some lines into it just to make the foam adhere better to it. And I'm spreading a load of PVA glue on it. A bit too much PVA glue. I'm having to scrape some off, put it back in the bottle, because I've had problems in the past where I've left too much on there and it comes like oozing out all the sides, and I don't want that to happen again. So I'm going to place the XPS foam I've got over the top of this and weigh it down and just clip it on the sides there as well and leave it till it's dry. Right, next thing, I need to get the basic shape of the Oblivion Gate. So I've got some millinery wire. It's used to like make brims of hats and stuff. But I thought this would be ideal for this. So luckily it's easy to kind of push it into the XPS foam. So I've used 2 pieces for this to give it a bit of width. And now it's time to add some form to the base. So I'm just going to use this hot wire foam cutter thing until I've got a bit of shape that I think I can work with. Just going to glue down the wires to make sure they stay in place. So now for the ground and like the rocky jutty out things all around the Oblivion Gate, I've decided to go with foil and hot glue that on there to get the shape that I want. And I did burn myself a little bit a couple of times, because when you put hot glue on this foil, it heats up really, really hot. So if you decide to try something like this, just be a bit careful. Let it cool down a little bit before you sort of push it down onto whatever it is that you're making. And having done this, I think I've got a better idea now of how I'm going to build up the rest of the diorama. I'm going to use this technique for the rest of it. But for now, we need something that we can put on the front, because there's always like an image in the middle of the Oblivion Gate. So I've got some transparent packaging that I've been saving up in my box for ages, and I thought this would work quite well for the front. And at first I was going to actually like paint the picture onto this perspex and have like maybe some sort of transparent paint or something, but I've decided I want the picture sort of inset, so behind this transparent film thing. And my first idea was to carve it into foam board. I've seen a lot of people using foam board and it works really well, and the paper just like peels off the front of it when they want to use it. Wasn't quite the case when I tried it.
Oh, give me it. There we go.
Oh, really nice, well-lit hands.
Well lit.
Yeah, it's nice lighting, that.
But that's the camera, not my hands. I thought we were about to get a compliment on my hands. Yeah. Like I could model watches or something.
Yeah. You could though.
Do you reckon?
Yeah, you've got nice arms for it.
The expensive watches, though, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Not like a Casio. Like Rolex.
A little helicopter going around.
Yeah. Hello Kitty watch or something. Yeah, fucking Rolexes or whatever the wankers buy. Come on. Buy a Rolex, you're a wanker. Probably cut that out of the video, it's not that kind of channel, is it?
It's not that kind of channel, no, but might just leave that in anyway.
No, whenever you put me in the video...
Yeah, the like-to-dislike ratio...
plummets.
Oh, someone's come to help. It's the birthday boy.
I've got some.
You've done well.
Yeah?
Yeah, you've done amazing.
That's
Thank you.
alright.
Oh,
there's the hands again.
A good reveal.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got great
That's
hands.
the Rolex hand model.
After all that, I decided not to use the foam core, so yeah, sorry for wasting your time on that segment there. I've decided to go for EVA foam, a thin piece of EVA foam which I'm gluing with Fix-A-Fix to the back of a piece of cardboard. Once that's glued down all nice, I'm just going to paint the back in some black acrylic paint and round the sides, and then I'm going to sketch out with a pencil just a kind of rough drawing of how I think it should look. And yeah, I've labelled them, I've numbered them, So you can see I've got like numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever written on here. And that's because I've decided I'm going to use foam clay to try and sort of mold this shape into here. Because I just feel like it would look a bit better if it had some texture. So like the higher the number, the further back they're going to be on the foam, if that makes sense. This took absolutely ages, and I probably won't show all of it because yeah, it took a long time. So I'll just show a bit of footage of me doing a small section, which I used clay modelling tools and my fingers to try and sort of manipulate it into a shape that I quite like. And this is what it looked like when it was fully dry. And then I painted it all off camera. I'm not sure why. I can't remember what was going on with the camera at the time. But this is what I've got. And I'm quite happy with it. I think it looks quite cool. And I think that'll work for the background. If we put that over it, and then I've got my old test flame from my junk bot that I did. And I'm just seeing how it looks with the flames around it, and I quite like it, so I think I'm set. This is going to be the centre of the gate. Okay, so now I'm going to try something that I haven't done since like probably primary school. Papier Mache! Oh, obviously that in English, probably just paper mache, isn't it? But papier mache is what we used to call it. And so I've mixed some plaster in with some water, and there's a little bit of PVA glue in there as well. And I'm going to dip some tissue into it, so some toilet roll, and should be able to pull that out and then wrap it over the foil and sort of blend it into the foam base with this technique. I wasn't sure how this was going to go because, like I said, I've not done this in years and I wasn't sure if I was doing it correctly, but it seemed to be working, so we're going to continue on doing this, wrapping it around the two sort of horn things and building it up as we go, to see if we can get the desired result, and I'm quite happy with it. I think I'm probably going to proceed with this technique. Well, this is only the first bit and I've already made a hell of a mess. It's all over my hands and everything, and I don't know how I'm going to clean it up. But luckily, I do have someone in here who is a lot of a tidier worker than me.
I'll do it.
Thanks, babe. Right, wiring. I want lights in this. And I have forgotten to drill my holes in again before gluing this down. I've done this before. I don't know why. I just go ahead, glue the foam to the base, and then, yeah, I need to add wiring later on. So I've had to make some holes in here where the lights can come through. And I've got this tube, this rubber tube. I bought this off of, I think, eBay or Amazon. And I thought this would be perfect to thread the lights through. So I'm going to glue that in between the two wires. And I've got my LED light going through, doubled up, because it was quite a long LED light. There we go. Right, let's turn it on and see what it looks like. Oh, it lights up quite well. It's got a couple of different settings, so I can have it flashing fast or flashing slow. And I think flashing slow might look quite good because it's like the flickering of a fire, maybe? We'll see. So I'm going to start just filling in the holes on this middle bit and just sort of tidying it over with some texture paste that I've made, again, out of plaster, water and PVA glue. And now it's time to start working on the first flame, which is going to go in the middle bit. This was a cotton wool ball that I've unraveled, and I'm just sort of teasing it to get it into the kind of shape that I want it. And then we can take it into the airbrush booth and start off with a yellow as usual. I love doing flames. Since I did that junk bot, I've been dying to make more fire. And then we add a bit of red to the top layer. I say a bit, I've gone quite heavy on the red, because the last time I did a flame, I remember coming back in over the black with the red again, because I felt like it needed more. And then coming in with the black, just to sort of tickle the tips a bit, to make it, give it that burnt, smoky type of look, you know? Right, now we can start gluing this bad boy in, just with some hot glue in the centre of the ring. I know it seems a bit weird doing this. Oh, I painted black on the bottom as well because I knew I wasn't going to be able to access this bit again after this. And I know it seems a little bit weird to be doing this before I've even built up the outside, but I've had to do it this way because I need that middle bit in place before I start. So with the clear packaging in place, I can start gluing the picture inside as well. And now we've got a flame that's nestled inside. Okay, next thing is to start building up around the gate itself. And I'm going to use the same stuff as I used on the horns at the front. So tin foil scrunched up into the right shape and hot glued into place. This was so satisfying. I know, like I said, you know, it's a bit hot at times, but I really enjoyed working with tin foil. It's so malleable, it's perfect for moulding into whatever shape you want. Another horn on the other side. And I feel like it's starting to take shape now, so I'm quite excited about this. So I then spent ages building up more areas all around the whole thing in the same way, adding foil, and then I twisted some bits into like sort of twisty snakes to build up around the side going up towards the top. Going to my reference images, coming back, adding some more. And so this isn't going to look exactly like what it does in the game because it's kind of my interpretation of it, I guess. And both the games, it's slightly different in both. But hopefully I'll do it justice in some way. Now we're back to papier-mâché, so we're going to have to papier-mâché this whole thing. And I know papier-mâché looks like a lot of fun. Yeah, get stuck in, get your hands dirty. But I'll be honest, I was concentrating so hard. You could cut the tension in the room with a knife.
This is as tense as it looks.
Why are you hovering over me?
The entire room has an atmosphere while she's doing this. I got told off for talking about things while she was doing it.
What were you talking to me about? A car? Car prices on eBay? You don't even want the car.
See? Atmosphere.
I was trying to concentrate and you're going, this is up for this price. Oh, look at the price of this car. Oh God, there's one here for £1,000.
Oh, it's hard to craft under these circumstances, isn't it? We can't have an atmosphere like this.
So yeah, I was a bit moody, but I don't think it was moody. I think I was just trying to concentrate. Like, it was quite finicky and some of these bits were quite intricate. I wanted to make sure the shapes were right. So yeah, unfortunately, the Dino Lord banging on about prices of cars on eBay was just at the wrong time. So with the centre bit all in its papier-mâché, I was able to add the extra jutty out rock bits to the outside. So I've added an extra 4 and they'll all get the same treatment. They'll get papier-mâchéed as well. Now for some reason I'd forgotten the ratio of PVA glue, plaster and water, and well, there was some disastrous results. I've done a mistake.
Couldn't remember your mix, could you?
No. And now they're all hard. See? Gone hard really quick. I've used a lot of plaster. So I'm going to do what he said and put
more PVA glue, less plaster.
Yeah, and we'll see how we get
so
on.
How many times have I said it? I think I said it 4 times, and on the 4th time you're actually going to listen to me. So should we see how this goes after listening?
Yeah, okay. Do you want to mix it for me?
No.
Okay. It pains me to admit it, but he was right. So once this is all dry, we can get cracking on a primer. So first things first, go over the whole thing with the black paint and Mod Podge mix. And I was buzzing when I seen it all in black. Ta-da!
Oh, that looks mean, yeah.
I'm happy with it. Feels like plastic now.
You're good at the mental stuff, yeah?
Mental?
Yeah, just a bit weird and that, like.
Oh, thanks, babe, I think. But then when I started to dab on the grey paint that I wanted, I noticed it was pulling some of the Mod Podge and black paint primer off. So I've had to take it outside and give it a coat of this crystal clear Rust-Oleum stuff, which, as it says on the tin, is a protective coat. Now, before continuing on with the rest of the paint, I've decided the lights weren't bright enough, so I've added one of the cork lights that I'm quite fond of. I do use these on pretty much every project I work on. So what I've done is I've pushed each of the little lights on the string through some carefully poked holes I've made, going around the outside of the centre. So I'm just gluing those in place now. So this is it with just the flashing LEDs we initially put in, and then with the new ones in as well. I think that's much better, and it makes the flickering more faint and a little less obvious, if that makes sense. I don't know, I just wanted it brighter basically. So now the fun part. Finally, it's paint time, everyone, it's paint time, sing along with paint time, here I come with my big paintbrush. I want to make the whole thing look like lava before I start adding the top coats on. So I've done a little tester on the back here, now we're going to do the same thing to the whole middle section. Because inside, like, the crack areas on the Oblivion Gate, there is like a lavary, fiery effect that kind of shines through from all the crevices. Hey, Lenny making an appearance again. Lenny, old friend. So I've painted the whole thing in a white acrylic first to make this pop more. And now I'm quite liberally putting on some yellow. And then adding some red as well. Again, very, very liberally. I'm putting quite a lot on. and then sort of smushing it and blending it, but without mixing the paints together, if that makes sense. Try and make it look kind of as lava-like as I possibly can. This was my first time trying this, but I really enjoyed doing it. It was quite therapeutic. Unlike the Papier Mache phase, which we won't talk about, we don't talk about that. So once that's dry, I'm coming over it with black on a sponge and just sort of dabbing it onto the raised areas. And I'll be honest, I liked it with just a little bit of black on it. I thought it looked so cool, just like really charred and badass and gnarly. But it didn't quite look like the Oblivion Gates from the game, so I'm going to have to add more black. So it's kind of, because if we look at it in game, you can see it's just those indented areas that have the fiery look coming through. So I'm probably going to leave a little bit more of the lava than what is in the game, just because it's my personal taste and I really liked it. Now before we move on to the next phase of the painting, I've wrapped another cork fairy light around another LED because I do want more flames on the outside like it has in the game. So more light, more flames, and just a jolly good time really. So I've kept a little bit of extra string on this side because obviously I'm going to have to pull it out to put it into the spray booth in order to be able to airbrush it. And I don't fancy masking this whole thing for that. So yeah, plenty of excess wire so we can safely get that into the spray booth. Okay, now this next bit is going to look mental. And I know it looks mental, and I'm surprised I wasn't absolutely shitting myself when I was doing it. But I was surprisingly calm while putting on all these weird colours to pretty much the whole of the diorama. So the reason I'm doing this is because when you look at rocks, they've got different colours. They're not just like flat grey. I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. Rocks aren't just grey. Obviously they don't look psychedelic like this, but hopefully once we've put the rest of the coats on, it'll start to come together. Hopefully. So first we're going to start off with a grey brown, like a grey, mid-tone grey brown. I'm talking like I know what I'm on about with these colour shades. I don't. I just mix it up, and if it looks decent, then I put it on. So I've dabbed that around the whole thing. Then I've mixed up a slightly lighter kind of a beigey, I guess, a beigey grey, if that's a thing. And just adding that to the raised areas so that it gives kind of like a highlight. And they get kind of lighter with each coat. So the final coat is like a really light grey, you know? That I'm sort of dry sponging. So like, you know, when you dry brush, when you only apply like a really light amount, and I'm kind of doing that but with a sponge. And I'll be honest, I'm never sure when I've done this if you can actually tell that I've done the weird colour things underneath. But I'm quite happy with the result, so we'll just go with I haven't wasted a shitload of time. And now, as always, one of my favourite things to do is a wash. So I've got this strong tone wash from War Paints, and I love this stuff. I love it so much. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put that into the darker areas just to make them stand out a little bit more. Then sort of blend them out a little bit as well. And I do enjoy doing the washes. I feel like it kind of gives the whole thing a bit more life. And I don't think it's long that War Paints have been doing these washes, but oh my god, I love them. We've got them in so many different tones because they do a great selection. Okay, ground texture. So I've got my tea bags. So those are like old used tea bags that I let dry out and then rip the bags open. And I find you can just make a fantastic paste with this for floor texture. So I'm going to mix it in with some PVA glue and some raw umber colouring. Give it a good stir and then add in a little bit of water, a bit more glue, just sort of adding extra bits of each thing as I go along until I get it how I think it'll be nicely spreadable. And I'm going to apply this to the pathway using a paintbrush. Looks kind of like mud, doesn't it? I quite like it. I love these tea bags. I reckon I've saved a ton of money by making my own. I've added a bit more water to my brush now and I'm sort of putting in like trod marks. I don't know if trod marks is a thing, you know, like it's been trodden on loads, like a pathway, you know? And then I've got this desert sand and stone mixture by Javis Countryside Scenics. And I'm going to add a bit of that to the paste I've currently made and mix that in. A bit more water and a good stir. Doesn't that look appetizing? Doesn't. It doesn't. It looks a bit like crud, doesn't it? Don't get enough crud these days. I think I'm going to try and bring that word back. So this stuff we're going to use for like the outskirts of the path. So like all around the sides. On the lesser beaten path, I guess you could say. Once I've done that all around, we can now wait for that to dry. Okay, so I wanted to work on the battery pack and where it was going to be stored on the back of the diorama. So I've had to do some jiggery pokery with these ones that connect to the LED lights. You will notice that the diorama itself is in earlier stage while I'm doing this, because I was kind of back and forth between things while I was waiting for stuff to dry, etc. And I've stuck a couple of candy floss sticks to the back of the diorama and cut out a bit of EVA foam, which I'm going to put over this battery, which I probably should have stuck down later, but I've already stuck it down. But I think that fits nicely around it. And I've got these, okay? I don't know what these wood things are. I've got a load of them. I don't know where they've come from. Probably from putting together old furniture and stuff, and I've had them left over. Either way, I've used those to sort of pad out the sides, and I've glued a couple of them together to make this bit for the front to hold everything in. But I do need to file a little groove in it so that the wires can fit underneath. And make sure there's enough space there. So now I've made these out of some coffee stirrers and skewers, and they're going to be like sliders for a door to slide in. So I've built up the whole of this using more of those little wooden things that I had and candy floss sticks. And now I'm going to stick down my door sliders onto the sides of it. And I've made this door out of coffee stirrers. I bought like a massive pack of them. And I've glued them together at the back with super glue. I think it looks kind of like a wooden gate. That's what I'm going for, really. And let's try see if it fits okay into the slots. Hey! Ideal. Let's take that back out. So I'm just cutting some grooves into it with this knife to give it more defined, like, wood lines, I guess. And on balsa wood, I can just use like a wire brush, but because the coffee stirrers are a lot more of a harder wood, I'm having to use this. And I think this works quite well. I can see quite a few lines on there that I quite like. So I'm going to keep going with this and do it to the whole door. I can clean up the workspace, ready to add the next bit. So my idea with putting this door on the back, I needed something for the batteries, but my idea is to make it like one of the little caves in the Elder Scrolls games. So, you know, when you get like a cave in the mountainside with a wooden door in it. So I figured I'll use foam clay and fill it out with this. So I'm going to just place this all around the door and try... Oh god. Oh, I've made a mess. I wanted to wear gloves for this because I thought it'd be less messy, but it turns out it just got stuck to the gloves. So yeah, I'm just going to do it with my bare hands. It just makes things a lot easier. So I'm just going to fill out this whole area around the door and try to blend it in to the diorama itself by using a bit of water on my finger and just working it in. I tried to add loads of grooves and stuff into the foam clay as well to make it look a little bit more like a rocky texture. Just make sure the door will slide out. Ah, we're good. Do you know sometimes when you've recorded like the whole audio for a section of a video and then you get to the end and you go to like stop the recording and you realise you hadn't even pressed record to start with? Yeah, that's not what happened to me. That has not happened to me. So anyway, I've used this clay modelling tool to poke some holes to look like nail holes in the door and scribed some extra lines into the door with it to make it a bit more enhanced. And then I've mixed some really watery dark brown paint, which I'm going to just put liberally over this whole door. And I'm liking the way it's sitting in the grooves darker. I'm really happy with that. I'm also going to take this time to put some black paint on the inside of the battery housing that I made while I wait for the door to dry. And once it's dry, I'm going to use this enamel wash from Ammo, which I absolutely love. It's amazing. And I'm just going to go around all of the edges and grooves to try and make it look more weathered and shadowy and like it's kind of been hanging there for a while, you know? Need to make it look more rustic. Then I'm going to come back to the ground because the ground texture is now dry, and I'm going to just go around the edges of the lava-y bits with some black paint to sort of make them stand out a little bit more. Kind of blend that in a bit as well. It just makes the lava bits coming down the path pop a little bit more, I think. And I'm going to add more bits of black, just kind of smushed around on the ground here and there to add a bit of shadow to it. Once I've done that and that's dry, I'm just going to come back in with a kind of lighter brown on the brush and dry brush it over the top. Now we've got something fun again. So these are some leaves that I picked off the floor last autumn and put into a blender. And I think they make a nice ground sprinkle. And then use a pipette filled with watered down PVA glue to try and glue that down. Which is all good in theory, but it's really, really messy. So once again, I'm glad I've got my trashed mat down underneath it. Thinking ahead. And then I just kept going around, sprinkling more of the leaves here and there, and kind of bringing a few of them in onto the pathway as well. I've switched to a brush for applying the glue as well because, well, it's just a bit tidier, isn't it? Now I'm going to use some seafoam trees just to add some twiggy foliage to it. So I've scraped the leaves off the end of the trees and I've dipped the end of it into glue and then into this grass flocking. So I've got it kind of stuck on there. And I'm going to dip this into some PVA glue and then pop it down near the rocks. Now I'm going to come back in with some watered down PVA glue and we're going for the pipette again this time, guys, because we do like to live life on the edge sometimes. Add in a bit more flocking with the tweezers to pad it out a bit, and then I've gone around a few areas on the edges of the rocks doing the same thing. Now it's time to wash the whole thing, so I've done a couple of different shades of washes here. Dab that off with a tissue. And now the grass and the seafoam also need a wash because they're far too vibrant for the kind of scene that I'm going for. So I'm going to darken those up a bit and try and blend them in with the rest of the floor. I used quite a lot of washes on these. These are just ones that I made with acrylic paints and water. Then I've got some Monster Brown, which I'm going to use to just kind of give a light dry brush to the seafoam trees. I think that's looking a bit better now. It's looking a bit more blended in. I've pressed record this time, yeah? Oh, thank God. What time is it? Fire time! That's right, we're going to work on the second flame now. So I am just going to wrap cotton wool around this amalgamation of wire lights that I've got. Do you know what, yeah, so many times I panic and worry that the hot glue is going to interfere with the lights and break them, but it never does. So far, touch wood, touch wood. Ow! Touch it, not hit it. I'm playing a bit of a risky game here because the diorama is just there whilst I'm airbrushing. Told you guys, life on the edge. So same thing as we did before. We start off with a yellow over the whole thing. And I've kind of like, because this is going to be on the outside and more visible, I've kind of teased the cotton wool into sort of flame end-like shapes, I guess. So I'm going to go back in after a bit of the yellow's on while it's a bit wet and try and sort of do the same thing. So we can kind of hold its shape a bit more, you know? Over the top with the red. Once again, quite a lot of red. And now it's time for the black. It's always my favourite bit, adding the black over the top, making it look all smoky. I just really enjoy doing that bit. Now we can place this in position inside of its frame. Oh my God, I can't believe how close we are getting to finishing this now, but there's still a couple things that we do need to do to tidy it up and finish it off. The first thing being tidying up the edges by adding this border around it, which I've made out of balsa wood. So just a really soft wood, which was easy to cut to the shape, and then I've painted it black. And the next thing is to hide these wires at the back because they're very unsightly, and I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do about that, so I've wrapped them in foam clay like I do with pretty much everything so that none of the wires are visible, and then I've used the clay modelling tool that I was using earlier to scribe some lines through it to make it kind of look like bark. I thought maybe it could look like a sort of tree trunk growing out of it. And then I've tried that painting technique from earlier that I did on the rocks with all the different colours. Do you know what? It didn't really work, to be honest with you. So I've just gone over it with a few different brown colours until I've ended up with this, which I'm quite happy with. I think it's better than wires showing everywhere anyway. And now I'm back to the door, and what I've done, I've painted on the Oblivion logo with a black paint, and it looked too clean and fresh, so I've used an eraser off the back of a pencil, and it's kind of taken the paint away quite nicely and made it look kind of worn, and I was really happy with the effect that this gave. So yeah, That worked out a lot better than I thought it was going to. It was quite a gamble because I was really happy with my door, so it was, you know, a bit of a risk doing that. So now there's only one thing left for it. Turn on the light. Plural, because there's like 4 of them, and 2 of them have to be done at different settings, so I really need to learn how to solder wires and hook everything up to one battery. I will one day, I promise. Now we just slide the door on, and we're ready for the glamour shots. I really hope you like it.